Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to What Do You Say? My name's Andrew Termini. With me, as always, is my brother and your host, Frank Termini. If you like what we're doing here, please go out there, like, subscribe, and leave us a review. We appreciate all your feedback, and we do appreciate all of our listeners.
Yeah.
We really do.
Especially the Trump supporters. Fuck yeah!
You knew it was coming.
Yeah.
Hey, Tone, shake the bottom of that cord there.
Just push it. Here, Tone, grab it and push it up. If I have to, I could sit there because I know how to fuck with that thing. Yeah, we're good. Yeah?
We good?
Yeah,
Yeah,
we're good.
all right, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, I don't want to touch it anymore.
We're definitely, but yeah, Trump supporters.
Yeah. I
Have
mean,
you ever seen a beating like that?
I think there was a pretty good sweep that McCain, he got swept pretty good.
Did he get beat up pretty bad by Obama?
I think so. I mean,
I thought he did a really good job. Obama, too. It was Obama, too, that McCain lost.
Obama is the
Obama did some ass whipping.
Did he?
He did.
But I mean, you know, there's not really a bigger ass whipping than last night as far as I'm concerned.
No.
And hold
I
on.
mean, on Tuesday, I mean. Yeah.
Right. And we needed that ass whooping.
Well, I mean, I think everybody wanted a little change, didn't they?
The Patriots are back in control.
Here, you know what helped? I swear I think it. When Elon Musk and Joe Rogan endorsed it, and Elon Musk got on the Joe Rogan show and said, if she wins, it'll be the last election. I think that was a big deal.
This was the most strategic campaign I've ever seen. He got Elon Musk. He got
Dana White.
He got Joe Rogan. He got Bezos. He went out and got everybody. And then she only got a chance to run a half campaign. And
That was their fault.
that was their fault. She was just put into the seat. She didn't win a primary, which, you know, if they thought that Biden wasn't going to have a shot, they should have had a better backup option.
Like
because
Kennedy.
Well, and that's the other
Kennedy
thing.
might have got some people from the middle because I kind of like him.
That's the other thing. He went out and grabbed Kennedy.
Yeah.
Kennedy is going to be, you know, make America healthy again.
Let me just say I love Donald Trump, bottom line. I mean, I'll just go ahead.
I think Musk coming on was absolutely enormous.
Huge.
I mean,
Yes.
everybody listens to that guy these days, and he's so intelligent. And what I think he can do for the deficit, which is what, 33 trillion or something right now. I mean, come on.
I'm going to give
It's a
everybody
no-brainer.
a little tip here. The Department of Government Efficiency. That's what he's going to head up. The Department of Government Efficiency, also known as Doge, DOGE. I'm just going to tell you right now. That's the ticker. If you want to make a quick buck, easy money, brain off, brain rot shit, ape into fucking Doge right now because he is going to pump it to the fucking moon.
Here, but here's
There
the
you go.
thing. Here's the real thing, though. It really exposed how full of fucking shit the media is. Because the media wanted us, me in particular, not just me, but us, to believe that their thought processes was the majority, and clearly it's not.
You can't buy me love.
Hey Frank, let's introduce our guest and let's just go into this. So we could get back to this conversation, but we probably
So
should
here
know
we
who
got
else.
Tony Badalucco, writer.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah, I guess you can say that. Yeah.
Well,
I mean,
yeah.
I was a writer in Hollywood. Yeah.
yeah, and that's really what the story's going to
Sure.
be about,
Mhm.
and I'm kind of fired up about it.
I'm ready.
Yeah, I am
But-
also ready.
But first, I want to get back to this because the media wanted us to think all this woke bullshit was the majority, and it's not.
They also wanted to make us all think that it was a tighter race than it actually was.
Hold on. I honestly thought Trump was going to win the popular vote and Harris was going to win. That's what I thought was going to happen. If I was going to bet, I'd have said Trump's going to win
That's
the
what I
popular
would have bet on.
That's what I was going to bet on.
I was 100% guaranteed. I absolutely, with every fiber of my being in my jellies, knew that she had no shot.
Really?
100%.
I would have
no
said
shot.
Trump had no shot.
No, but the reason why I knew Trump had a shot was because all of the money that is backing him to win.
Hold on. Look at
Well,
all the money. Here,
The Democrats spent way more.
Harris has way more money backing her.
No, you're missing what I'm saying here. Okay, have you seen the S&P 500.
No.
As soon as he got elected, it gapped up.
Oh, you're saying the investors.
The investment world, the boomers who want to protect their money and want it to multiply in their older age, want him in office because he knows that he's going to take care of him and everybody's going to do financially better because he is the biggest bag pumper of any president that's ever been. How many times have you heard him get on the economy's doing very, very well. Stock market's the best it's ever been. It's doing very well.
You know the people that drive me fucking crazy? I mean, it really makes me want to bang my fucking head into the wall is the people who vote Harris solely because they can't get past the abortion. It drives me fucking nuts. And clearly, let's look at what happened in Missouri. Trump wins, and yes on 3 wins.
So Frank.
So that clearly, there's no correlation between a Republican president, okay, all right, and anti-abortion. There's no correlation. And you know what I say? Fuck them. Let it be legal. Because then they'll kill the whole entire generation who is dumb enough to vote the same fucking way they do.
I mean, you could
Let them fucking do it.
That's one way to look at it.
So
I mean, it's terrible to say, but honestly, let them have abortion.
Well, I don't think the Democrats' message, they browbeat and they, really they say, well, we won with college educated. They didn't win anybody else. Everybody else voted more for Trump than they have 4 years ago. It was just insane. He won everybody. It wasn't like he won everybody.
It was a no-brainer to me because coming out of COVID, the way that the economy has done, you knew we were going to flip parties because everybody relates the economy and the downside of what happened during COVID to Biden. So I can't believe that anybody
that party could have fucked up a cup of coffee. They could have fucked up a cup of coffee.
They would have never got it to the table for sure.
I mean, seriously.
Yeah, they would have.
I mean, are you kidding me right now? All these people that want to vote Harris solely based on being pro-aborts, it's like, come on, what? That is going to be your platform?
Now here, let's be honest, and I think everybody can admit to this, is that when Donald Trump is on the microphone, he talks completely out of his ass.
What politician doesn't?
No, but what I'm saying is if you listen to Donald Trump and J.D. Vance speaks on topics and he's very educated on them. Now, I'm not saying Donald Trump's not an educated man or he's not smart. What I'm saying is when he speaks, he repeats himself and he talks completely out of his ass. I'm not mad about it, but I'm just saying you got to understand that.
Is Donald Trump in his 4 years going to be able to eliminate abortion?
No,
is he going to be able to do it?
No.
So why
I don't think that's his plan, though.
Right. So why were all these people? Oh, I just can't get past abortion. Oh, I just can't. Here, fucking kill all of them. Seriously, go ahead. You guys want to have abortions? Knock your fucking lights out.
The Democrats usually vote for social things as opposed to economic things.
But here's my thing. Me personally, clearly, I'm not for abortion. I'm really not. That's not what I would choose to do. God forbid one of my daughters or son got someone pregnant out of wedlock or too young. Clearly, I had a baby at 16 years old, right? That's not what I would choose to do. But I don't give a fuck if they want to go do it. You're going to have to answer to somebody else. It ain't me. I'm the least of your worries.
Mm-hmm. I mean, here's the way I look at it. If you want to do that and there is a, let's say, spiritual penalty for people who are participating in it, then that's between them and God. I mean.
Here, I'll give you a prime example. This retarded motherfucker. Okay, let me find this guy.
Who you got?
His name was Ryan Sheed.
Ryan Sheed, that's the retarded guy?
Stone cold retard.
Stone cold retard.
Okay. And Half sent me this. I probably shouldn't out him, but who cares?
I shouldn't have.
Been out right.
But he sends this, and
Also been on our podcast. You should check him out too.
and you should. But my name is Ryan. I'm 42-year-old husband, father, and veteran. Okay. I voted Harris Walls to protect my daughter's right to choose. Okay. And he gets this, he leaves himself wide open. So somebody just crucifies him and says, let me get this straight. The single most important thing in this election to you, of all things, is your daughter's being able to be raw dogged without consequence. And I'm like, you fucking deserve that, you idiot.
I mean,
You fucking idiot.
You know, comments on these articles are the greatest. They really are. The comments are the funniest stuff.
I
mean,
mean,
100%.
Did this guy fail as a father?
Well, I mean, you know, if you're looking at it that way, you could maybe say yes, of course. But I mean, that's the way liberals think. They're very into social things.
Hold on. And I am a realist. I'm not going to be able to
the-
look you in the eye and tell you that my daughters are not going to have sex prior to marriage. I'm not going to be able to do that. Now, I'm going to teach them not to do it. I'm going to beg them not to do it. But look, we were taught not to do it. Did you have sex before marriage?
yeah.
Okay, clearly I did. I had a baby at 16 and Gianna was at my wedding. Okay. So, which is always fun to explain.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm not going to sit here all high and mighty, right? But come on, people. That's why you're voting that stupid motherfucker for abortion?
I mean, here's the question.
Just give me any other reason. I don't care.
Trump's not anti-abortion. He pushed it off to the state and allowing the states to make the decision, but he's not
Let me
anti-abortion.
ask you something.
I mean,
everybody wants to call the Republicans the racist, the bigots, the this. You support Trump, you're a racist, you're this. I've heard that 100 million times. Let me ask you something. What percentage of, I already know the answer to this fucking question. What percentage of abortions are black?
what is the answer?
Over 40%.
Okay.
Is it possible that the left is so pro-abortion because they fucking know 40%, over 40% of them are African American?
No, I just think that they.
So you're saying that this is kind of a reverse racist kind of thing?
100%. Is it possible? I'm asking a question.
I mean, it is possible. Yeah, that is possible. Oddly enough, I think Trump won the African American vote.
I think he did too.
I mean, at the end of the day, I think he did.
But I'm just asking, like,
No, I think it's about a woman's right to choose what happens to her body, of course.
can we call it something other than reproductive freedom since reproducing?
I'm not saying
ultimate-
reproductive freedom. I'm just saying, you know, and like, for example, I'm not I guess what I'm trying to say is maybe I don't agree with abortion, but I would never vote for against abortion because I don't really think it's my business to tell somebody else what to do with their body. That's just my belief.
Here, I
I'm
don't
a
know
Christian,
where I really
you know what I mean?
stand, right? So, like, because they talk about viability. Okay, so is a 9-month-old viable? Can it survive without its mother?
I mean, no.
Okay, so let's operationally define viability then, idiots. Okay, right? Because here, let's look at it, Drew. In the 80s, it was just abortion. Now society's desensitized, and now it gets worse. Now it's partial birth abortion, and then you'll get desensitized to that. And now what? Now, an 8-month-old ain't viable. You can fucking kill it too if all of a sudden you don't want it.
Well, and I will say this, and we'll get back to Trump kind of talking out of his ass. He did make the comment that they were aborting babies after they were born, and in no state is that happening, and that's 100% absolutely murder. I did hear him say that, but again, I wanted him to win. I'm not disappointed.
No, I'm 100%.
But I'm saying the propaganda that was being pushed, and that's what people I don't think are looking at, is the propaganda for the entire political movements is absolutely a
and then
fucking cesspool.
Well, and then they also say, "Oh, well, what are you going to do with situations of incest and rape? Are you going to really indicate and make that rule based on what percentage of the abortions are due to incest and rape?
Very low.
Is it 1%?
I couldn't tell you, but it has to be 1% or less.
Yeah. Okay. So come on.
Let me ask you this question. This is
Because not for nothing. Because if it's incest or rape, in my opinion, in my situation,
Sure.
you got way more to worry about than the murder of the fetus.
Sure. Well,
Someone's getting executed.
I also think that you have to look at a devil's advocate in the sense that, people on the right have to also look at, you really probably need to put your daughters on, some sort of birth control.
You have to have
before
some
that happens.
Well, they have to be educated.
Sure.
And you have to have an honest, open, and transparent relationship with your daughters.
Sure.
You have to do it.
100%.
And you also, am I raising my kids on Christian values? Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Does that mean that they're always going to make the right decision? No, they're not.
No, we're sinners by,
so
nature.
Let me ask you this question. Tone, you might know the answer to this.
Yeah.
Frank, you might know as well. If abortion is legal in one state,
Mm-hmm.
what is the difference of if a woman has the right to choose and she's got to go to, say, Minnesota?
Mm-hmm.
It's still, she can go there and get it done if she really wants to get an abortion. Is there anything stopping somebody from Missouri to go to Minnesota?
No.
So
What's the difference?
If you look at it this way, Trump really gave you 50 potential options of,
and Missouri's now one of them.
and Missouri's one of them, 50 options of where you can go around the country and potentially have an abortion if you wanted to. You can go to the state with the leanest, the leanest fucking rules on it and go there and get an abortion. You have 50 different states now.
And here, we could even talk about the whole partial birth thing, because really, how many women are walking into a hospital 8 months pregnant and saying, "Fuck this, I don't want this baby no more"?
You're done going through 8 months and you're gonna throw in the towel.
They're
now?
not doing that.
Not
What
happening.
they're talking about when they're talking about partial birth abortion is medical criterion has been met that would make this procedure something you may want to do, whether something is wrong with the child or the mother's health is in jeopardy. Because if somebody comes to me and my wife is 8 months pregnant and says she either terminates or dies, I'm saying terminate.
Yeah.
I'm going to say to terminate. Okay. I'm telling you to save my wife. Now, ultimately, my wife has to make that call, but I'm going to beg her to terminate.
Well, the exit poll showed that nobody really cared about abortion. I mean, that was the lowest on the totem pole as far as what people, cared about as far as when they came out and said, "Oh yeah, I voted this way and that way." Abortion was just not even in the picture. So I think that it's just a listen, it's going to be legal again to have an abortion. And then after that, it's never going to really, in my opinion, it's never going to be illegal again.
Well, let's look at abortion and let's look at it like hard drugs.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
People aren't making the choice to do hard drugs based on the legality of them.
No.
So if you make cocaine legal,
Mm-hmm.
you're not going to see an increase in the number of people who use cocaine.
No.
Just like if you make abortion legal, you're not going to increase the number of people that have abortions. I really don't think you do.
I think you give them more access, but I do think somebody that wants to have an abortion will have an abortion.
It's going to have an abortion.
Whether they have to leave the state or not.
Doesn't matter.
Yes.
Doesn't matter. If you want to terminate, you're terminated.
Sure.
So one thing that a lot of people out there probably thought that, and it's absolutely misleading, is Amendment 3 from Missouri. Okay. Amendment 3 is the abortion.
Right. Yeah. Yes on 3, no on 3.
Right.
Right. All of it.
But if you watch the media, and I don't know why they even allow this, they were saying, hey, they're jamming in transgender being able to do a transgender transition without parental consent.
Which they're allowing you to do now.
That's not
Probably in some states,
That's
man.
not in Amendment 3 on Missouri's ballot.
No, it was solely abortion. Right.
But when you saw it on the news or saw it on TV, the commercials they were running were saying, "Hey, you're going to vote for abortion, but you're also voting for transgender."
That wasn't the case.
It's not the case.
No, I know that.
And people's main complaint was like, "Well, I don't want to vote for this because there's transition terminology in there, and I don't believe in that."
I didn't see any transition terminology.
It's not in there. That's why I'm wondering why they allow people to
because
run ads on that
that's-
shit.
That's the right trying to prevent you from doing it. Yeah, that's all that is, right? I mean, the left does that shit all the time. So
I think that's terrible.
Yeah.
You people are going to get an ad and they're going to be like, "Oh, you know what? Now I know. No on Amendment 3."
yeah,
Yeah,
they're never. I don't think any state is going to. I mean, hell, you can't even get a tattoo unless you're 18 years old. They're going to let you get a fucking sex change operation.
yeah.
I mean, come on.
yeah.
I mean, they're not going to do that.
Well, and that's what I'm saying. Is
I mean, you can't even go get physical therapy.
I don't think that the integrity is. If you're misinforming people, where's the integrity in that? Where's the integrity in that? There's absolutely misinforming people.
There's no integrity on either side.
Well, that's
Really?
we can agree on that.
Yeah, there's probably less on the left as far as I'm.
Listen, politicians get into this business, and what is the main thing they do? They hype themselves, right?
Right.
Hey, rah, Tony Badalucco. Yeah, go, I'm going to win. I'm going to be the president. Yeah, hey,
I'm going to
go,
do this.
Tony.
I'm going to do that. I'm going to do. Then you don't do
It's
nothing.
it's a really self-righteous kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so you have to be a certain type of person to want to get into that business.
Yeah.
And the amount of people you have to go meet and the
Shake
maintenance and all of it.
Awful.
It's a really kiss-ass system, and you just fall into it, and then you get into the Senate, and then you become a millionaire. Oh, that's unbelievable how these guys are all millionaires in the Senate after about 10 years. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
It's because they get the firsthand information.
100%. So, I mean, it's politicians are now heavily paid behind people's backs, of course, like they used to be. And I think it's an enormous monster that's gotten out of control.
Well, it's not even behind people's back because now that the part of the First Amendment is the corporation's right to speak, and the corporation, how they exercise that right is with financial means. So you can pay a politician,
Sure.
and it's just freedom of speech.
Sure, but I think there's a lot of exchanges between politicians that happen in cash where they say, "Hey, go vote for this. Here's a $400,000." And
Well, they don't have to do that. They could even go even.
well, yeah, there's ways that I guess you're.
You know what I'm
exactly
saying?
right.
They
Yeah,
could
you're
say,
right.
"Hey, just buy this and just wait about 6 months, and you'll be paid in full."
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do think that. I mean, yeah, that happens.
That's
of course.
because then it's off everybody's books.
Or hey, the government's going to buy this land and they need somebody to do this construction, and oh, my cousin is the
Yeah.
contractor, and let me just give him this job here. So, you know, what
And
I mean?
here,
and
since
then
the
she's going to
government's-
give me a 30% back on that deal. You give me 30%. You know,
Since the government's paying for
they're
it,
deal makers. That's what they
just
do.
charge me whatever you want. We're gonna pay it.
Yeah.
And yeah.
They're wheeling and dealing.
And then whether they get up every day and they go to Congress and they sit there and they give their opinion and everybody looks at them and then they give their opinion and then they vote. It's just
So since
nothing gets passed.
since we're talking about the dark back alleys of politics,
Yeah, sure.
we're gonna have to transition into
Hollywood.
Of
Hollywood,
course.
So here,
which is the dark back alleys of Hollywood. But let's
I wanted to have this conversation because I knew you were a writer and I
Sure.
knew you did some things in Hollywood. But you before we did this podcast, you posed a question
Yeah.
and you said, how did the movie, was it 1991 or 90 that it came out?
92 is when Goodfellas came
You're
out.
kidding me. It was 19. Okay. So 1992, how did the movie, Martin Scorsese's, written by, the author was Nick Pileggi, right?
Correct.
Okay. And the name of the book was Wise Guys, but the movie was Goodfellas.
Mhm.
And you wanted to know how it impacted us.
How it impacted your guys' lives. I mean, because that was a big movie in the transition of mob movies, because The Godfather was made in 1972. There was 3 of those. The third one, obviously, not really.
The third one came out on like Christmas Day of 90 or
It
something.
did.
Wasn't
It was way later.
good Christmas movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember going and watching it.
But there was
Then I hated it, but now I actually, I like The Godfather 3 solely because of Andy Garcia.
He's great.
He's great.
He's the man.
Hold on. Tyler Shire says, no, it wasn't him. It wasn't Tyler Shire. Maybe it was. But she said, how did it go? And he says, they put me in a room with Joe Zaza. How'd it go? I bit his fucking ear off. I mean, he was great in that movie.
Yeah.
I like it just because of him. I like it just because, but anyway, so they had The Godfather in 1970. Part 2 comes out in what, 72, or was it?
2 came out, I think, 2 years later, 74, 75.
So 72, then 74, and then.
And there was movies that came out that were popular that were based on mob stories, but Goodfellas really was.
What came out in between? Now that I'm thinking about it,
there was Mean Streets and things like that.
Hold on, that was a great movie.
was
Harvey
Scorsese's
Keitel,
yeah, that was a good one.
and De Niro.
Sure, there was a few things.
Yeah.
Nothing really hit home like Goodfellas.
Nah, that hit
was
hard.
Really,
Yeah.
you know,
And Harvey Keitel plays a fantastic gangster.
oh, he's the man. I mean, Harvey Keitel was amazing. We tried to get Harvey Keitel for our movie, and he passed. But yeah, we wanted him.
He played Meyer Lansky in the movie Lansky.
Sure.
And then he also played in The Irishman. He was one of those bosses. What was it? Who was he in The Irishman?
No, but I know you're talking about. Yeah,
Yeah, he's a great gangster.
he's excellent. He was in all, and those guys were all good friends. You know, Scorsese and Coppola and
brilliant.
Spielberg and Lucas. They all hung out together. You know, so it was a little clique of those guys. And in the early 70s is when everything kind of exploded. You know, Spielberg made Jaws, and Star Wars was in 75.
Which I've never seen one of them.
Really?
No.
Yeah. See, I was
Not a sci-fi guy.
Well, I was born in 76, and so Star Wars was a big deal to me. I had all the shit, the
I
merchandise.
had all the shit.
Yeah,
Never watched the movie.
and at that time, merchandising was the big thing. So, Lucas had all the merchandising for Star Wars, just like Gene Simmons had all the merchandising for Kiss. I mean, and they made a fortune on this stuff because that was what, it was just a path that they started to see people take, and then they started to do that way.
So then after Goodfellas, it was like gangster movie.
Well, yeah. So it was literally an explosion. Everybody wanted to do gangster movies after that, and in '94 is when the really big explosion was Pulp Fiction came out. So
Pulp Fiction
changed film. There's
Quentin Tarantino changed the game with that movie. He absolutely did.
Quentin Tarantino's pushes every envelope you can push.
Yeah, I think he changed the game in that he made a crime film that you'd never seen before, and that was a crime film.
Well, would you say Reservoir Dogs? That was before Pulp Fiction.
Yeah, Reservoir Dogs.
It didn't get as much hype as Pulp Fiction because it was just kind of like.
See why these dogs are barking.
It was just one of those movies that almost felt independent, or like an indie film. It just didn't. It didn't hit the mainstream like Pulp Fiction.
Well, Tarantino first wrote True Romance. You ever see True Romance?
Yeah, I've seen True Romance
with Christian Slater. So that was his first big kind of get through. He was he worked in a video store, and then he just became just a big film buff, and started writing movies on the side. And then when Reservoir Dogs was written, it was passed around in Hollywood, and people flipped out over it. I mean, they thought this guy was a genius. So when he was good friends with Harvey Keitel. And so he got Harvey Keitel on, and that's kind of what happened. And then the rest is history. He did Pulp Fiction, and everybody wanted to be attached to that film, and he wanted Travolta, and he wanted to cast it a certain way, and the rest, it was a blockbuster hit.
So the format, though, where I feel like he changed the game was the format and how things were shot. Now, not just
the way he told the story.
Yeah, the way he told it was completely chopped up. That in order for you to understand it, you had to stick around.
Yep. The first screenwriting class I took when I went to Universal Studios, I was in the class, and the teachers asked me, "Do you think Pulp Fiction had any sort of structure to it at all? 3 acts, 1 act, 2 act, 3. No way it does." And she sat there and explained, and it did, because when you put it all together, it's actually a full movie.
So break down the diagram of that kind of structure of film. Is it something that somebody can you simplify it for the listener?
I could simplify it in that you write the film from beginning to end, and then you basically chop it up and you mix it up, and that's kind of what he did. He wrote it beginning chronological.
That's Frank.
It's me.
Sure.
Yeah,
Okay.
you're good.
I am?
Yeah.
Okay. And then he just chopped up, started mixing it around. And nobody'd really ever seen anything quite like that, because you think you're going to mix something, you're going to lose the audience. And Tarantino was smart enough by that time to understand that he knew how to keep them engaged
Yeah.
through that. And so it was a quicker way of telling a story, because you're kind of jumping through these characters. It's fast and it feels fast.
Here,
and-
you know who else seems to do it?
Yeah.
And it's tough for me to follow,
Sure.
and I have to watch their movies more. Guy Ritchie.
Yeah. Guy Ritchie was he made
Snatch.
which was
Unbelievable.
amazing when I saw
great
it.
movie.
I think it came out in 202.
Snatch, Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels, The Gentleman.
Those were all awesome films. And he kind of I would say, if anybody was like Tarantino, was kind of him.
Yeah.
Memento was made also in 2000. And that was, go ahead.
No, I wouldn't say anything. Go ahead.
Christopher Nolan.
Okay.
And so that was kind of 2000 was really the explosion of digital. But let's go back to Goodfellas for a second.
Got it. So how did Goodfellas impact me? Drew, you go first.
I could just say that the first line is just as far back as I remember. I wanted to be a gangster, and that it's itself just it glorified like as you watch the movie, you're like you really identify it with it because everybody remembers Sunday Basta and meatballs and all that shit, and then we kind of have that ties to the Kansas City Mafia has been written about and in books, and so
I think for me,
it kind of blew my mind.
Did it affect your way of act? Did you act
Absolutely
after you watched the movie?
Absolutely.
Okay.
well,
Because everybody was different. I mean, I thought it was one of the coolest things I'd ever seen at the time.
well, and I thought it was the coolest thing too, but I was stupid, number one.
Sure.
But I think it also opened up my eyes to things that were going on around me, to family members of mine, to made me probed questions that my father never would answer.
No,
Right?
he would not
Sure.
answer.
That my father never would answer, but other men in my family would. And it made me realize certain things. I'm trying to be very careful with what I say here,
It's okay.
obviously, but it made me realize certain things that were going on
Yeah.
in Kansas City amongst friends and family. How about we just say that?
Yeah, I could agree with
That I never ever even thought about. And so yeah, that number one. Number two, did it change the way I act? Yes, 100%. Yeah.
You thought it was cool to kind of go.
Well, yeah, there was plenty of times where my dad would have to tell me as a young kid, and even in through high school, that we can go to jails and cemeteries, and I'll show you all kinds of guys that thought they were tough.
100%, right? Yeah.
And it wasn't until I was older where you see the common denominator of every gangster movie. It all ends bad.
It has to, right?
Yeah, I mean,
and Goodfellas was a tragic story. Everybody died except for
Henry Hill.
Well, I'm sorry, everybody got exactly what it was coming to them. Paulie had a little bit of a conscience, so he went to jail.
Yeah.
Right.
Tommy
Tommy
gets
got
killed.
the worst.
Yeah.
The worst you could possibly get. And then Ray Liotta, he gets saved, but he's eating macaroni and ketchup. You know what I mean?
Jimmy
so that's
Burke
his
was
life.
Jimmy Conway in the movie.
But he never killed anybody.
Huh?
Henry Hill never killed anybody in that movie.
Not in the movie. And I got to wonder if he ever did it in real life.
I don't think he did.
I don't either. No, I don't think he
The
did.
only person that killed anybody in that movie was Tommy, that you see.
Jimmy Burke. Jimmy Conway.
Yeah, Jimmy Conway. No, Jimmy Conway was Robert De Niro.
Yeah. And Jimmy Conway, if you watch the documentary of Jimmy Burke, was a homicidal maniac.
Sure.
He was,
Yeah.
in real life, as bad as Joe Pesci's character.
I didn't know that, but that I'm sure.
Oh, you got to watch a documentary.
Yeah, I haven't seen the
you don't ever watch gangsters or
No, I watch
mobsters?
all that stuff, but I didn't see that.
Oh, Jimmy Burke, watch the documentary on him. He and they interview Henry Hill, and Henry Hill says it. He was a homicidal maniac.
Sure.
And the Latanza heist He didn't come up with the Lufthansa heist.
No.
There was another guy that did it.
Yeah.
And I can't remember what his name was.
No, but I know you're talking about.
And he said it was too much money, too fast, and Jimmy did not know how to handle it. And you know what? That's why he ended up going on that murder ramp. He killed every fucking body that was involved in it.
Yeah.
Everybody.
Pretty much everybody got knocked off.
You know?
But, I think it's a tragic story that the reason I asked you guys was because I felt like it changed the way, as an Italian, you kind of wanted to act. If you weren't really aware of, your conscious or what you're doing, and you're young and you kind of fall into this stuff. And I felt like, during that time, I think Italian communities throughout the United States and all over especially the United States, where a lot of kids bought into it and acted that way until they literally passed away.
Look at what was going on in the media at the exact same time.
Yeah.
John Gotti.
Sure.
John Gotti.
Yeah.
Teflon Don, Dapper
Sure.
Don.
Sure.
All these different headlines, right? That were all in the early 90s. Okay, until he finally got convicted and ended up dying in jail of cancer.
Yes.
Of the fuck, I think he had cancer in his mouth or something.
Sure. Yeah.
But I mean, he died a horrible death. And now you have, you listen to a guy like Michael Franzese, whose podcast is unbelievable, and he even talks about the generational curse of that lifestyle. And how he says, here, look at my father. My father was a gangster. I was a gangster. He was a felon. I was a felon. I have a sister who's got mental illness. I had a sister who was a drug addict. And he goes on and on and on about how it affected generations.
Well, it did
because of the sins of the father.
It did, because you have to break your curse. That's what life is about.
And what he's doing.
Yes.
And I truly don't think that his change was to evade any type of prosecution. I think it's genuine.
Sure.
I mean, I really do. And so I think he's like, hey, I don't want my blessings cursed.
So let me ask you this question.
I don't think he killed anyone either.
I could see that.
I think he was making $1 million a week on the gas tax scam. You think they're not going to make him?
No, of course they are.
They're going to make him.
Yes.
And if they're smart, they're saying, I don't want this fucking guy's hands getting dirty at all.
Never.
No, he washes all of our money.
I don't want his hands getting dirty at all. Absolutely
we need
not.
somebody to wash our money.
So I kind of think that's why he
Would Vegas be Vegas without the mob?
No, fuck no.
No.
No, that's all Meyer Lansky.
The mob shaped the landscape of Vegas.
Well,
they are Vegas.
I think Mo Green was Meyer Lansky, although Meyer Lansky didn't get killed.
Mo Green was Bugsy.
Bugsy Siegel?
Yes. Bugsy Siegel started Vegas. Yes.
He did get killed.
Yes. Bugsy Siegel got killed in his house. Yeah.
Yeah.
Vegas was started by the mob, Jewish mob, and then obviously who worked with the Italian mob, and the Italian mob thought it was a great.
You know who it might have been? Meyer Lansky might have been Hyman Roth. No, because he got killed too.
Hyman Roth, yeah. No. Hyman Roth was, I'm trying to think exactly, but yeah, Hyman Roth was somebody. Yeah, but you're exactly right. But Mo Green was Bugsy. He basically started Vegas in the middle of nowhere. And everything was the dumbest idea in the world, and it became the biggest city in the nation, one of the biggest cities in the nation.
So does, and this is a question that I think you might have trouble wrapping your heads around.
Yeah.
Does the mafia still exist?
Italian?
Yeah.
I would say no. And here's the reason why I would say no. And we had an uncle make this comment. I'll never forget this comment. And he said, there's a reason why the feds go after the Italian mafia. And he said, we're easy targets. When they come after the Italian mafia, he said, and I'll never forget it. He went like this with his hands. He said, we do this. He said, Russians, Chinese,
They don't do that.
They don't do that.
No.
That's why they go after the Italian mafia. And that's why the Italian mafia is really the only one that's been eradicated. The Russian mob, the Chinese mob, the Turkish mob, Mexican mob, look at them. They're fine. The The other thing was
They shoot back.
that's what he was saying. The other thing was the Italian mob did not want to fuck with dope because there was too much time thrown at you for it. So you may shut your mouth for 18 months on a gambling charge.
Right, but you ain't.
Let them throw 25 years at you for coke.
Yeah,
And see what you do.
the risk to reward.
Right. Now there's way more reward, but the Turkish, the Russians, the Chinese, the Mexicans, they don't even let you get to court. They're not even going to take a shot. You're getting killed.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's been some politicians that some had
The
had some
fucking Mexican cartel cut the fucking DEA's head off and filmed it.
Yeah, I mean,
The problem is any sort of organized gangs or crimes like that are all going to be eradicated soon because of the cameras are going to be everywhere and all in your phone and everything. They know everything you're doing. It's just whether they want to bust you or not.
I truly would say there is zero Italian mafia. None.
I would say zero.
I would say absolutely.
That's what I would
none.
say now. Yeah.
I would say absolutely not. And I will also say that the 1996 Armand Asante Gotti movie, which was
I remember that movie.
it's a great movie.
It was good.
Armand Asante played Gotti.
Armand Asante played a lot of good parts.
He played great.
Yeah.
That was a great part for him. And whoever played Neil Delacroce, what was his name?
I can't remember.
Oh, come on. I can't think of his name. He
Did you ever
unbelievable.
see the Travolta Gotti?
Yeah, but it wasn't near as good.
No.
You can't. I don't even know why you would try to redo it. No one's doing it better than Armand Asante.
no.
No one's doing it better. But he said at the end of that movie, you will miss John Gotti. He said you're going to have no rules, no parameters, and you will miss John Gotti. And you know what? I bet you there ain't an agent in the world that would disagree with them right now.
Sure.
Because I truly think, here, if the Italian mafia was as strong as it is now as it was in the 70s, sex interdiction in Missouri would not be the case.
Well, here's one thing I'll also say is that there's not a better informant for the FBI than an Italian mobster because they have a code of ethics to where they're going to be intertwined with these other gangs, these other mobs of, Chinese, Mexican, all the other mobs out there, but they have a code of ethics. So if we can do what we can do over here, we're going to give you all you need for these guys over here. And these are the guys you want. And I think that the whole FBI informant game, I mean, they're saying that, P. Diddy was an FBI informant,
Probably.
An FBI informant at its finest is a criminal that you're willing to allow to operate. That's the Departed, which again was a
Black Mass.
great movie.
Johnny Depp did fantastic. Plays a great gangster.
But and if you miss John Gotti, if the FBI misses John Gotti, it's because he was a good source of information for them. But obviously they took him down, so he obviously wasn't doing his job. So that's my take on because they looked at you.
I don't think John Gotti was ever an informant.
No, but I think informants.
If he wanted to get himself out of prison, he could have done it.
Informants in today's terminology is we let you operate and do what you do. We're going to turn a blind eye to it, but you're going to give us enough information on other people that we want to get information on so that you can justify what you're doing.
I mean, I think they play that game to get the bigger fish. I do, but I don't. Here, I think nowadays finding an informant, how hard's that got to be?
You can find an informant on every corner anywhere because you know exactly who's talking to who and what they're saying. Just go, you know what I'm saying?
Here, not for nothing, but I mean, that gambling deal in Kansas City back in 2010, those guys weren't on the phone when they got in trouble. They just were able to turn the phone into a microphone and record the entire conversation.
That's entrapment. How do you do that?
I don't think it's entrapment, Drew.
You can't record somebody's conversation unless
They've
they're
been doing
aware
it
of
for fucking 40 years.
I think it's the Patriot Act and that they can get on your phone, do whatever they want.
They could do whatever they want to do.
Yeah.
They could do whatever they want to do. They may not be able to use it in court, but they can use it to find something they can use in court. I don't know. I'm not a lawyer,
They
but
make an excuse where they have to look at because some sort of terrorist
So-
or something, and then they just
So, Tone, I'm curious
yeah.
as to how your love of writing began. How did you transition into a space where you're like, I got to go to Hollywood and write? I got to get this out there. What kind of provoked your interest? Was it a movie like Goodfellas? Was that the...
By the time I saw Goodfellas, I was already in love. When I was young, it was kind of a nice little explosion for me because VHS was coming out and cable had hit. So, I was 3 or 4 years old and I had, 30 channels and HBO and show, so I'm watching everything, and so I just fell in love I fell in love with Sesame Street. I fell in love with Star Wars, 48. I was 5 years old watching 48 Hours.
Great
You know what I'm
movie.
saying? Rated R. So I was watching literally everything and there was really nobody, watching. I mean, obviously my parents were there, but you know how they were when we were younger, at least my parents. I mean, they really didn't pay much attention to what you were really watching on TV that much. At least mine didn't.
No.
Here, I remember being in the house in Ravenwood and watching Caddyshack.
I mean, I couldn't
And
wait.
had the video. Remember that bar right
Yeah.
there in the basement?
Yeah.
There was that little bar in the corner underneath there. They had VHS tapes, and one of them was Caddyshack, and I just put it in and watched.
Yeah, I mean, you could literally tape anything that was on cable.
Yeah.
I mean, so you had Caddyshack. I mean, I had them all. I mean, anything that was made in the 80s, I had on VHS.
I remember walking downstairs one morning and Dad saying, "Here, hit play on the VCR. I got a surprise for you." It was Rocky 3.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I mean, I just...
Fucking Sylvester Stallone.
The,
had it.
Yeah, so that was kind of, I'm sorry, go ahead, Drew.
No.
I was going to say, so that's kind of how I fell in love with it. I mean, it was literally my escape. I mean, I was going through a divorce with my parents, and that was tough. So I used a lot of internalization with that as opposed to kind of getting it off my chest. And what I did was I would watch movies, and that was kind of a moral compass for me in a sense. I would watch the way they act. I would watch them over and over and over. I mean, I would see these movies 3, 4, 5, 10, 20 times.
Well, and I think, like, when you mentioned the movie Goodfellas and how did it affect you, every Italian male that was 12 to 18 years old that watched Goodfellas could say, that guy reminds me of my uncle, or that guy reminds me
100%. It hit
of my
home more
cousin,
than,
or that guy reminds me of, hell, Paul Sorvino looked identical to Uncle Chuck.
Yeah.
Identical to him.
Yeah, he did.
yeah.
I think Uncle Chuck might have been in St. Louis and signed autographs as Paul Sorvino. I swear to God, I think he did it, or at least was asked to sign autographs, and they didn't believe him when he told them it wasn't Paul Sorvino.
Yeah, he really, really did.
Yeah.
But, America fell in love with mob movies, going back to that for a second. And that was really interesting. But for an Italian, it's almost, it's home, it's, you see it and it's like, okay, well, I see it in front of my face. I think people that were getting enamored with it, they didn't really were around it. So that's why, after 92 or after Godfather came out, everybody would say, hey, are you in the mafia? If you were Italian, are you in the mob? Are you in the mob? So, I mean, you in the mafia? Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's just what white people, I say white people, would ask me.
I can't talk about that.
Yeah. I'd say, who told you?
I told you I can't talk about that.
No, not a T. You used to always say, tell him, yeah, and don't forget it.
I mean, every Italian that grew up in that time knows. That's what they asked you. They didn't know any better because they were watching movies at home and they just figured if you're Italian, you're in the mob. That's what you do. You know what I mean? So
Every Italian was in the mob in that time.
yeah. So, but
and here, like, especially with us, Dad was the most probably hyper legitimate guy. I mean, he might have gambled, but here, if Joe Smith gambles, it ain't a big deal. But if George Termini gambles, he's a gangster.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's why a lot of people who were hardworking Italians that I would consider they weren't involved in Kansas City organized crime, but if they got caught gambling, then their name was in the paper.
sure.
You know what I mean? And then all of a sudden they're a gangster when they're not even. Have you ever looked online at the people that they say are made guys in the Kansas City?
I have.
And you look at some of these guys and you just got to laugh.
It's hilarious.
How fucking stupid are you?
No,
guys?
seriously.
Some of these guys that they mention in there, and I'm not going to say anyone's name, but it's like that is the antithesis of a gangster.
Sure.
That guy, he gets up every day at 6 o'clock in the morning. He's working his ass off. He is not a gangster.
I've never seen the list, but I need to.
Oh, here you know what?
Where do you find that list at?
Hold on. I'll just.
Are you going to name up the made people in Kansas City right now?
I'm not. I'm going to name off the ones that I think are absolutely retarded.
Yeah, that's
How about
exactly.
if I do that?
You're gonna. The eliminated list is coming up now.
So if you Google active members,
Okay.
go ahead. You guys can keep.
That's okay. Well, anyway, so that's how. I mean, I it was literally me being pushed in a direction that was very familiar to me because I was watching everything. And so when I got to high school, obviously I wanted to go to Los Angeles, but I didn't think I was ready at the time. So I went to college, went to Mizzou, got a 4-year degree, and then I was in Los Angeles in 2000. May of 2000 is when I got my.
So when you got into the writing side of things, did it transition from you wanting to be, hey, I think I want to act, or was it always, no, I want to tell the story?
No, I strictly went to Los Angeles to tell the story. I never wanted to act, and I don't know why that was. I think I was a little camera shy at the time.
Yeah.
But I also think that I always wanted to tell a story from behind the scenes because of the way that it affected me, and how you could kind of take 2 hours out of your day and just relax and kind of drift off, and you're not sleeping, but you're not really awake either. You're
right.
kind of in this. And that's the magic of movies, is it takes you out of your element for a couple hours, and you can, having a good time and enjoy yourself, and then right back to life. But that escape for me was enormous. And so
here, I'll give you one right now that's absolutely
who do we got?
So here, I'll give you this one. This one, if you look in this encyclopedia, soldiers.
Yeah.
One of the soldiers is John Termini.
John Termini's a soldier?
He's a soldier?
Because,
Johnny T.
listen to this.
Johnny
this
T.
Yeah. The quietest, most laid back guy in the world, convicted of conducting an illegal gambling business.
Wow.
So that right there made him a gangster.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I ran a casino out of the foyer of my fraternity house for 2 years. So,
well, they didn't even know about that.
They
You
had
got to
no
get
idea.
on the list somehow.
I got to be on the list.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get myself on the list
know
right
how
now.
many
Is that
guys
possible?
I
Can we get
knew-
Tony Badalucco on
I
the
really
list?
need to be on that list. I'm a soldier. I qualify for a
I
soldier.
went to PT school with a guy that was booked all through college.
Mm-hmm.
He was a bookie all through college. I said, how did you guys get bets? And he was like, they just called me. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Never even thought anything of it. Just took his bets over. Would you ever think to do that?
Hell no. Because as soon as I took a bet and they got wind of it, they would dig into it.
Yeah.
They would just lean into it.
I'm not mentioning anyone else's name on here, but
Okay, so Johnny T.
Can you send me the list?
yeah, here, it's all you gotta do is Google it.
Oh,
Just put active members in Kansas City organized crime and it'll come up.
okay.
Yeah.
All right.
They had here. I'm trying to find a couple other names but no, it's absolutely retarded.
Yeah, it's a fictitious list that carries no weight.
It's a fictitious list.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Tone, when you went to Hollywood,
Mhm.
tell me about your experience in Hollywood, how you got patched in, what job you were doing, all that stuff.
Okay.
How long you were there? Just kind of give me the rundown.
I was there about 9 years.
Damn, that was a long time. I didn't
It
realize
was
you.
quite a while. I started in 2000. I got a internship at Universal Studios, so I started there. I met my partner, producing partner there, who eventually made the movie Memory with. In the first class I actually took, and we became really good friends. The first night that I was there in Los Angeles, he asked me if I wanted to go to dinner with him. And he was a Jewish kid that drove a Porsche, and he had made a Jackie Chan film, so he had some money in his pocket. And he takes me to dinner in Hollywood. This is the first night I was ever in Los Angeles. And I'm sorry, the first week I was ever in Los Angeles. And he takes me to this place called Ago, which was Robert De Niro's restaurant. So I walk in, and most of the crew usually hung out there, but they weren't there that night. So they sit us down And I look over and I'm sitting next to Madonna and Rod Stewart and Rachel Hunter. So I'm like, okay, well, first week I'm not doing so bad. You know what I mean? It's not too bad deal. But, you know, we became good friends, and I started to realize very quickly, even though I knew this already, that it's who you know and not anything else.
Oh,
you literally have to shake hands with everybody.
Yeah.
So is what they true about Hollywood? Is it true what they say about Hollywood is that it is ran by the Jews?
Correct. 100%. There's no question. I mean, it's probably the actual industry itself is at least 70 to 75% Jewish, I would say.
Why is this?
You know,
how did they get their
They started studios back when nobody had, you know.
You remember my hypothesis?
Go ahead.
Jews help other Jews. That's why Hitler didn't like them anyway. They didn't help anybody but themselves. Jews help other Jews, and now they fucking own the whole country. And Italians, they ain't gonna help you for nothing.
So you don't like Jews?
I love Jews.
Oh, okay.
I love the way they do things.
Oh, okay.
Jews help other Jews. I wish Italians did that.
You don't think Italians do that?
Fuck no.
Yeah, I would agree with that a little bit, but yeah.
No, I don't.
We do kind of do business with each other, the Italian community, don't we? I mean,
yeah, but how many of those dealings have gone wrong?
I don't think they do.
You know what I'm saying?
I really don't.
listen,
Not like
I can't
Jews
disagree
do.
with that, Drew. I can't disagree with that. But yeah, they do run Hollywood, and so
People listening to this can be like, a fucking guy.
Yeah, it's
I just want to hear somebody's argument against it.
Yeah.
there isn't an argument against it.
I don't think you can rebuke it.
Oh, as far as what you're saying?
Yeah, I don't think you can.
Well, the reason Jews want to work with Jews is because they feel like they can trust somebody like them, you know, in the sense they feel like I wouldn't say they're more intelligent, but Jews are very intelligent people. I mean, they are. I was around a lot of them. They're all very bright people.
Were you accepted into that circle?
I was accepted on the outside at first. And, I was going to these parties, hanging out with all Jews, you know what I mean? And they liked me because Italian and Jews are a little similar.
Kind of similar,
Kind
yeah.
of similar. Yeah. And we kind of look alike. And we like similar things. We kind of hang out in groups, and, and you kind of, buddy up with everybody. You go out and, have a good time, and all, guys go out and, looking for girls or whatever. Yeah. So, I mean, it was a similar type of gang type thing that I was used to, but it was certainly on a more sophisticated level. And I think that, once you got to know them, if they trusted you, they would let you in, and I eventually earned their trust. Yeah.
So what did you earning their trust gain you? What you probably had a different color of glasses you were seeing things through, and when you probably got patched into some things, what ahas did you have? Like, oh shit, I guess I didn't realize how this operates.
Well, I thought if you had a good script, you could just get anything made, and that's not the case at all. I mean,
why not?
Well, because it has to go through so many layers. You see, it's a studio, and now it's even worse. But in a studio system, you pass it up the ladder, and if you make a mistake in the studio system, it can be very bad because you have millions of dollars on the line. So all of these studio execs are scared to death to pull a trigger on anything. So they have to make sure that, if something comes in front of them, unless it doesn't have, certainly if it doesn't have an actor attached, they're reading it very, very carefully. And most of the time, unless it's perfect, they're going to pass on it. And so the way movies get made is not like that at all. You have to have money. And like, for example, if we had $3 million in escrow right now, right? Let's just say, or $2 million in escrow right now. I could walk into Hollywood and we could make a film. We could do whatever we wanted to. We could make offers to actors, whatever actors you wanted to. We could, it's that easy. It's literally turning the key and opening the door. Hey, come on in. Now, I have obviously relationships there, so I can do business in a different way than anybody else, but it's not hard. Doing business in California is as easy as writing a check. That's all they want.
Do you need to be in Hollywood with the explosion of Atlanta's movie market, with the explosion of Austin?
No, not anymore. I don't think you have to be in LA anymore. I mean, when I first came, you had to, and that's because a lot of stuff was the transition from film to digital. So when we shot Memory, we shot on 35 millimeter, which means there's an actual film going through your camera.
Did you write Memory?
Yeah. Well, it was based off a book, but I wrote the script. Yeah.
So you kind of did what Francis Ford Coppola did to Mario Puzo's.
Pretty much, yeah. So I when I met Josh, who was the guy I was talking about, took me to dinner. We became good friends. I read his book, which was called Memory. And then I said, "Hey, Josh, this is a great book, but I think that you should change some things and let's make it into a screenplay and adapt it." And he said,
"Who were the actors?
Who did I get eventually? Yeah. Billy Zane, Dennis Hopper, Ann Margaret, Tricia Helfer.
You got Billy Zane.
Yeah, me and Billy.
He was the one.
We didn't get along at all.
He was the one in Tombstone.
No, Billy Zane. Was Billy Zane? Yeah, Billy Zane was. Yes.
In Titanic.
Yeah, he was the gay guy in Tombstone. Yeah, he was.
And he was in Titanic.
He was in a lot of shit. Yeah, he was. In fact, we got him. He did Titanic in 2000, and he was enormous. And he made a lot of back end money. He made a fortune on Titanic, actually. So when we were going to Memory, we were looking for a movie star. We had $5 million. This is after we had raised the money. And a good friend of ours that was helping us exec produce, his name was Brandon Hogan, and he was friends with Val Kilmer. Well, we heard Val Kilmer was nothing but a problem. Wouldn't show up to set, couldn't, was on drugs a lot of the time. And so it was a big pain in the ass. And so we couldn't.
Kills your budget.
Couldn't deal with Val. And so he said, well, I know Val Kilmer, I know Billy Zane. And at the time, the other guy that was interested was the guy that Patrick Dempsey, but he couldn't do it because he was doing Grey's Anatomy, which was a great move for him.
Yeah, oh yeah. Good for him. Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, McDreamy, yeah. But that's kind of, and so Billy was just kind of there, and he had a lot of overseas money, which what that means is when you make a film, there's all these different territories over in the foreign market. So Italy or Germany and Billy Zane's name is worth something in all of these different territories, and you can basically raise your budget of a movie based off somebody's name. So what you do is you go and take a script and you get Billy Zane attached, and then you go to Germany and say, hey, give me $500,000 from Germany, or give me $300,000. And that's kind of how you built your budget back then, is you would sell the territories before you actually distributed the film.
Okay.
So that's why we liked Billy, because he was coming off of Titanic.
Dennis Hopper was the guy in the Cannibal movie.
Dennis Hopper was in Hoosiers. Yeah. Hoosiers. And then he was in
he played the cannibal guy, didn't he?
Cannibal guy in what? You mean in
Silence of the Lambs?
That was him?
No,
that was
Anthony Hopkins.
Yeah.
Dennis Hopper, I'm getting confused.
Dennis Hopper was in Hoosiers. He played Shooter in Hoosiers. He was in True Romance. He was in Waterworld, the bad guy in Waterworld. I mean, he was in the Westerns earlier. He's been around forever.
Yeah.
But Dennis had a really bad reputation.
Yes, he was in that movie where, here, I'm going to look up his movies. I love the scene where it's in True Romance.
You're talking about the scene where, so I asked him about that scene and I said, Dennis, what really happened in that scene? He said, that was everything that Tarantino wrote in that script. He said, he said, the only thing that was improvised was the eggplant line. That was it.
I'm talking about the part where he was talking about Italians being spawned.
That's exactly what I'm talking about.
Okay, all right.
That was all written by Tarantino. That's Tarantino's words. He wrote that movie.
Tarantino's ballsy.
He's the man. He took chances. That's what you got to do. Life is about taking chances.
Oh, he took that. That was Django. What's worse than that? I
mean, you got to love.
No, he
movie.
did. It was.
That's a great movie.
I mean, awesome.
That's great.
I mean, awesome. I mean, it really is.
If you haven't seen that movie, you need.
Wait a second. Dennis Hopper was in Colors. Who was he in Colors?
He was. I think he was PD.
He was one of the. He was one of the PD. You know what? I haven't seen Colors in forever. With
Sean Penn
and Richard. What's his name? I'm sorry. You got it?
I'm looking at it. It's driving me nuts who he was.
Colors was 85, I think, or 84. Or maybe it was
88.
88. Yeah, it was 88.
Who was Dennis Hopper in Colors? Would he have been like a sergeant or something?
Who knows? He was in a lot of stuff.
Did you ever meet Charlie Sheen?
I never met Charlie, but I heard a lot of stuff about Charlie that I'm probably sure everybody else heard about. But yeah, I mean, he was a wild guy, and I never got to meet him, but I don't think any of the rumors were false. I'm sure.
I don't
he was
pay
wild.
prostitutes for sex. I pay him to leave. It's the greatest quote of all time.
Yeah, no, he was
Charlie Sheen.
Yeah,
was
he drinks
definitely-
tiger's blood.
he was definitely her best customer. So there's no question about that.
Yeah.
Heidi Fleiss. Yeah.
I mean, he's the greatest. I love him.
Guy drinks tiger's blood. If you go back and watch his interviews, that one interview, I mean, for him to say he's not on drugs,
Well, let's be honest. The guy is awesome.
yes,
I mean, come on, Wall Street. I mean,
He's awesome.
I mean, the guy is amazing.
He's
Come on.
awesome.
So there's nothing you can really do. He's got talent. You know, so-
yes, he does.
Yeah, he's incredibly talented. And you know who else that I absolutely love, and I love the redemption story, clearly, because we have him on here all the time, redemption stories, but Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah, Iron Man.
He's awesome.
They love those stories because you're in the media. And listen, after the guy that got busted by the prostitute, gosh, he was in About a Boy, Hugh Grant. Remember when he had that prostitute?
Yes,
Yeah.
I remember that.
You know that he got so many calls after that to do more movies and got more money than he ever had in his life. And that Rob Lowe it's never made less than $1 million in a movie, even after all that stuff he had with that sex scandal. So it doesn't really hurt you in Hollywood like it does everywhere else. They don't care. Even bad publicity is good publicity to them. You know, and you know, talking about, you know, Iron Man, I mean, come on. Is there any better movie than Iron Man? Did you have yours? Iron Man's like awesome. And I don't love superhero movies at all.
Oh, I love superheroes.
But
I love the Marvel and all that.
I can't do it because it's all the same ending, and I just can't deal with that.
Yeah, I'm just a dude playing a dude disguised as another dude.
Because really,
If you
movies,
don't know that quote,
you know, movies are all written very much the same. They're in 3-act structure, and there's always right 3/4 the way through. There's always this moment where the guy is at the end of his road and he doesn't know what he's gonna do, and then something happens and it turns around for him, and he wins in the end. Isn't that all? Every single whether it's that's what happens to the main character. That's what Hollywood says to all the writers. You know, this is how you basically write a movie. And so, you know, when you send in a script to Hollywood, you know, like the script, it has to be written in a 3-act structure, basically like that. They want to see the first act turning point. They want to see the midpoint. They want to see the second act turning point. They want to see the first part of the third act has action, and they want to make sure the ending is good. It all has to work. You know what I mean? So it's how you write it, and the structure of it is very important.
So what is the plot of Memory? I need to watch this.
Memories, yeah. You know what? Memory's a crazy movie. The plot is about he's a researcher from Boston, and he is a geneticist, and he goes to Brazil to study to speak at a synopsis at a convention. And he basically gets called to the hospital and comes in contact with this patient, and he starts looking at this patient's brain, and he realizes that all of the parts of this patient's brain that deal with memory are swollen. And he looks at him, he's got some sort of, red stuff all over him. And he realizes that basically this patient got in contact with a drug called THC, smoked a lot of weed, DMT, which actually is a
produced in your pineal gland.
Ayahuasca.
So you know about DMT.
Oh, so the most powerful
Ayahuasca.
hallucinogenic there is, but don't last very
Do you know
long.
what?
No, it does last. If you drink ayahuasca, which is the tea, it'll last you 24 hours.
So do you know what?
Dimethyltryptamine.
Do you know what your pineal?
Tryptophan, I believe
No,
is.
tryptophan's in turkey.
It's
Dimethyltryptamine.
what I believe it is.
Do you know what your pineal gland does?
No.
Nothing, except when you die, it releases something.
This is
DMT.
DMT.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
That's why you see in the
But if you smoke it, I don't think it lasts very long.
well, what they do is there's experimental places in Arizona. We did a lot of studies on this when we
Did you
were.
ever do it, Tony?
No, we were going to go down and do it, but we never got to that point because
Dimethyltryptamine.
yeah.
Not tryptamine.
Yeah, so it's the people that take this drug. They say that they see going into the light, and there's all these, basically after
It's like acid on
after death
steroids.
experiences.
I've done it.
You're seeing what God wants you to see when you die. Basically, is what
I've-
you're saying. You have done it.
I have.
Oh, this is
Smoke
amazing.
it, or did you?
How'd you take it?
I had the ayahuasca.
You did.
Tell me
Mhm.
How was it? What
ayahuasca-
happened?
Tell me what you're talking
This is interesting.
So, ayahuasca is a tree bark that's mixed. It's like two different.
That's exactly correct.
And it's mixed into a tea, and then you drink it.
That's 100% right.
I was in the Guadalupe Canyons in
what
Mexico.
about what? So
Oh, really?
Yeah.
you could
How
either
old were you?
smoke it.
This was in probably 2013.
What did you experience?
It is so. It's intense. I can tell you that much.
Yeah.
The fabric.
Hold on. Start from the very beginning.
Okay, so
So you go.
So I'm in the Guadalupe Canyons in Mexico in this bowl cut out in the middle of nowhere, right? I mean, even to get up there, it's a stress on your vehicle because you're going over some freaking boulders.
Were you by yourself?
No,
With some friends?
no, with some friends. Yeah.
So you went out there to do this.
It was a gathering. A bunch of folks from San Diego. They have these renegade gatherings, and there's music there, shit like that. So, this is when I was in the height of DJing, really wanting to meet people out in the DJ world. So, I was out there playing a renegade party, and ran into this shaman.
That was a renegade party, all right.
Yeah. And he asked me if I wanted to try DMT, and I'm like, what's it like? And he says, it's kind of like mushrooms, but way more fucking intense. He's like, but don't worry, I'll walk you through it. And I was familiar with mushrooms at the time, and I was like, all right, this is, let's go ahead and give it a shot. So, you drink it, and then you kind of just,
Do you sip it or you do like a shot?
I just slammed it. If I'm at that time in my life, I was like, well, if I want to find out the effects of it, I'm not going to sip on this like it's espresso. I'm going to go ahead and just drink it.
You slammed it, huh?
I slammed it, and I at that point in my life, I knew the therapeutic value of psychedelics, so I wasn't scared of them.
Sure. You had been down that road.
I've been down that road, and
So prior to DMT, what other psychedelics had you done other than mushrooms?
I was just I've never been into the acid thing, so it was just mushrooms.
Got it.
So so I drank it, and it slowly comes on, but
Okay, so over how long? I want to walk through the whole deal.
Okay.
Over how long of a period does it take to chill? You're like, I'm fucked up.
your body has to metabolize it. So when you drink it, it hits you so much faster. So, well, actually, if you smoke it, it'll hit you like that. But if you drink it, you still have your body's got to metabolize it a little bit. But in about 30 minutes, you start noticing some changes.
Like what?
One of the first changes that I noticed was my sense of sight was so more intensified. So I could look at my hand and notice every pore and every follicle. Almost looks sort of reptilian because my sense of sight was like my mind
had to dilate.
I wasn't looking in the mirror, Frank.
I mean, I have to for you to do that.
Yeah. So my mind is processing what I'm seeing in real time, and the detail of it is really, really intense. So as it kind of intensifies more, the sense of the fabric of reality it melts away. It literally, you see things starting to finally take shape. There's some waves and shit, things that you think shouldn't be wavy, shouldn't have motion, shouldn't have any shape to it, start to take shape. And then all of a sudden it's kind of like shut the door on reality. You lose a sense of who you are. Now you are in a spiritual realm.
So you're looking down upon yourself, maybe.
I wouldn't say like you're definitely out of body. I didn't have the experience where I was like, okay, there I am down there.
Yeah.
But when it hit, it was like once things started to melt away, then it was like you shot out of a freaking cannon, and you get blasted into this realm to where you're seeing geometric shapes intertwine, and the geometric shapes, as you go through stages, there's like there's like entities and gatekeepers as you go through them, and these geometric shapes and energies.
Almost like a multiverse or something.
It's very multiverse, yes. And you start to understand that something is speaking to you, but it's not taking the shape of a human. It's taking the shape of a spiritual entity. And so you do see like weird things like gnomes. You'll see gnomes. You'll see.
Well, gnomes are nice.
Yeah, they are. They actually are. But there are some negative energies as you kind of navigate through it. So it's really, like you're met with geometric shapes, and you're traveling through a field of energy from energy to energy. And at these transitions, you meet these energies to where when you get to the peak of it, it's like you're talking to God.
Sure. Well, that's interesting.
And it is, I
don't think you can actually explain it.
Yeah, it's probably tough, right? Because but it seems like it's kind of what everybody's saying.
So if you were to close your eyes and
How long did it last?
this was about I'm going to say from start to finish, it was a 24-hour event, but the intensities come in waves, and it like comes and goes. And
So what does the shaman get high with you, or does he stay grounded?
no, he stayed grounded. Yeah, he was
He's
like
watching you and stuff.
yeah, making sure you're in a safe space, because there's a couple times in there that you're like want to come unglued a little bit. You're dealing with all of your shit.
You see yourself for who you are.
You see yourself for who you are, and how we're really just spiritual beings trapped in a meat suit.
Sure.
So it really allows you to disconnect. And there's moments, and this is why I feel like it's therapeutic, is because there's moments where you're so not in control, and if you don't surrender to that, not being in control,
You'll freak out.
you're gonna lose your shit. But you have no choice but to surrender, because it brings you to that spot of where like I can't stop this, and I have pretty much melted away my physical being, and this is just where I'm at in life. This is just the journey moment. It's almost like an elusive dream that you're awake for, and you see all the sacred geometry that's out there in the world. You see all those patterns and things morph. I actually had there's a video on YouTube.
I find that very interesting, actually.
Yeah,
Miles Monroe, he's a pastor. He's deceased now. He died in a plane crash. But he said people confused having a spirit with actually being a spirit. And he said, you don't have a spirit. You are the spirit in a dirt body.
yeah.
So it seems like death, it doesn't mean to cessate. It actually means to separate, and your spirit separates from the body.
Yes.
And this kind of almost seems like it's something very similar without actually dying.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I'll say that it gave me peace, knowing that what we're seeing in reality, and what the senses that we have the ability to interpret. Some people like Florence have a different sense of energies and things, but what the majority of people see is pretty much
seems like a hypersensitive, someone who
she can tap into things for sure.
I think so.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, she has a sense that not everybody has.
Yeah.
No, she's special for sure. She's on a different level.
Yeah, and so I think that it gave me comfort knowing that there is a supreme being, and that the supreme being is in control, and that you are safe, and that there are energies out there. And
so you think this actually connected you differently to God?
Absolutely. And I also think that you don't have to do DMT to do that. There's other things. If you take enough mushrooms, you can also have a similar experience that's just a lot quicker. And there's a lot of studies that how they help with PTSD and drug addiction. And I know some people individually that have dealt with some PTSD that have got healing through a psychedelic experience.
Here, there was tons of research in the late 60s and early 70s that the FDA and DEA shut down that were very promising as far as using psychedelics for depression, anxiety, end of life.
Yeah, absolutely. But do you know why they decided to?
They demonized it because they didn't know how to monetize it.
Now, I don't think that's the case necessarily, because I mean we're getting ready to see, if you don't know this now, the next wave of legalization will be mushrooms.
Well,
I mean
that's 100% correct. As a matter of fact, in California now, in Los Angeles, the big thing to do now when you're depressed is not get on antidepressants. It's to take microdosed mushrooms.
Yeah.
Well, here, I'll tell you right now. What is that?
I believe it's your heater, maybe, but
It's a big heater.
Nah,
it sounds like a generator.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I'll go turn it off.
No, it's fine.
No, it's going to drive me nuts. But like for me, I don't think I would ever get the stones to try a hallucinogenic ever again. I did mushrooms once and had the most horrific experience. Now, if you read the research, these experiences range from the most amazing, pleasant experiences to the most horrific experiences. I think it's for some people and it's not for others.
Well, I disagree in the sense that people don't understand how to clinically take them and be in a safe space. It is about your set. It's about your setting. It's about your headspace. And if you don't have those three things in line, also somebody there who is a first timer, a shaman, or a trip sitter, if you don't have these things in place, then when you do it, you're subject to really interpret it for only what it is. Instead of you being able to look at somebody and saying, am I okay? And this is what I'm seeing. And they say, yeah, you're fine. This is natural. And they put you at ease.
So you're thinking like to sit there and have us three hypothetically shroom is probably not a good idea versus having maybe us three shroom and a guy that's done it 100 times that is not shrooming with us.
That's exactly right.
No,
I think that's what they do is I think that there's like these camps that you go to there where you all go to this place and you all sit in a circle and they start giving it out, and there's these safety people, and I've never done this, but there's these safety people that are all around as you're taking this drug.
Well, we had this
similar to this.
We had this thing at the Renegade party that it was called the THC camp. It was the healing camp. So if you were having a bad trip, you literally would go over there and they would talk you through it. So that they like literally have set up an infrastructure for people who are going to be tripping so they can have
maybe who are going through a bad trip to help pull them out of it.
Right. It really just people want to know that, am I going to be okay? Or they want to know, can't get this thought out of my head. I'm dealing with some shit. Help me process through it and just be here with me and make sure I'm all right as I deal with what I'm dealing with,
And maybe that thought is coming up so that you can deal with it.
Right. It's something that you're trying to work through.
There's probably some people, including myself, who have anxiety and can't necessarily tell you why.
Think about where you were at when you tripped.
I was at Brett Presco's basement.
But think about what you were dealing with.
It's going to be a better place than that.
My biggest fear when I started to realize it was that I wanted it to go away. Because like any drug that I ever did, if I wanted it to go away, I knew how to make it go away. That could have, whether it was cocaine, ecstasy, marijuana, whatever, I knew how to make it go away. This, I didn't know how to make it go away. And once I realized I didn't know how to make it go away is when I panicked. So I can't necessarily say there was a thought for me that made me freak out other than all of a sudden I knew I didn't have control. And once I realized I didn't have control, I shit my pants.
Yeah. And then you started to stress.
And then I was like, am I ever going to come down?
Sure.
That was the thought that was in my head.
Yeah. And you weren't willing to surrender to it. So if you weren't willing to surrender, knowing that you are going to be okay, when you come out the other end, you're like, holy shit, I'm never doing that again. But man, I will say it was life-changing. Yeah.
And when I did come down, I don't even remember how the whole thing went down. I think I just finally went to fucking sleep.
Yeah, because you made me sit up with you, watch the movie Dumb and Dumber about 4 times, and he said, I want to go home and tell mom and dad I'm tripping on shrooms. I said, Frank, we are not doing that. Because I was there with him and I was having a fine time.
Yeah.
He kind of brought me down a little bit because he kept making me sit up and watch.
Sure. Yeah, I got you.
It was so bad.
Yeah.
And honestly, I think the mixture of marijuana with the shrooms was not good.
Well, I would say not.
No, I think you need to do just because here, marijuana is not a good drug for me. Marijuana makes me incredibly paranoid.
Okay.
And that very well could have been the culprit and not the shrooms because we smoked a bunch of weed that night.
I feel like 25% of people that smoke weed just get paranoid. And
I'm
just,
terrible.
It just doesn't work.
Do you enjoy it?
I enjoy weed. Yeah.
Do you?
But
Oh.
that was really, when I went to California in 2000, everybody smoked pot. I mean, it was something that was at all the, I mean, you know what I mean? Even though it wasn't legalized, it was 24 years ago, but I mean, it was everywhere. It was almost like it was legal in California.
Oh, it was like it was illegal in Missouri. Back in 2000, I smoked weed every day, every night. I never was a guy. There was a couple times
Sure.
where I made the mistake of smoking too much weed, and then I very quickly realized I am a guy that needs to take 1, maybe 2 hits and then chill.
Yeah.
I'm not a guy that's going to sit here and pass a joint around with you guys till it's gone.
No, absolutely.
Well, the weed is so strong now that that's not how weed is smoked anymore. Like if you're smoking a blunt of you know, the good shit, the shit that you get from a dispensary now.
You'd be retarded.
I mean, there are some people out there that do that, but I mean, I would be stuck on the couch with not being able to do anything.
And here, even when I was a guy, because like I used to smoke it every night, and I would remember I had a desk right next to my bedroom, by my window. I'd open up the window, real quick hit, blow it out the window, shut the door, do some spraying, lay down, and watch TV.
Okay.
And then 30 minutes later, I was in the pantry.
Okay.
And then 30 minutes after that, I was asleep. You know, and then I'd wake up and go to school, whatever.
Sure.
But there was also times where on a Saturday, this was before I had kids, wake up, take a hit of weed, straight to the gym. And
It has a way of focusing you.
I can't even imagine doing that nowadays.
Sure.
Since we're talking about weed,
Yeah.
let's take a pivot and say, what's the best stoner film of all time?
Half baked.
Half Baked.
Half Baked is
great.
good.
I mean, come on. I mean, Dave Chappelle and Half Baked. I mean,
It's
there's
really
so many great performances in that movie.
But there's also How High, which is Method Man and Red, which is good.
Yeah.
Half Baked is good. You got
Cheech and Chong started it.
but
Cheech and Chong, the first Cheech and Chong was excellent. I mean, all of them were good, but the first one was like,
Dude, Where's My Car is okay.
But I mean, here, what about Pineapple Express?
it was okay.
That was a pretty good one. But you're right.
Dazed and Confused was probably number 2 for me.
Dazed and Confused is good.
Yeah.
Dazed
Came
and
out in
Confused
90.
is good.
I'm sorry, 90.
Half Baked is the
95.
best. When he says, "Are you hungry, girl?" I was talking to the horse.
Dave Chappelle's priceless.
No, that movie, if you just watch it again, I mean, it's timeless. I mean, it really is.
I mean, some of them you go back and you watch them when you're not high, and they're still really fun.
Yeah.
They are.
I mean, I gotta say, I think Seth Rogen and what's his name? Gosh darn it. Oh, who's in Pineapple Express?
You mean Franco, James Franco?
Yeah.
James
Franco.
Franco. Man, they just
They're
James
good.
Franco plays a great stoner, man.
They're good. They're really good. He does play a good stoner. So does what's his name? The Rogan guy, Seth Rogen. He's really good.
So what about let's talk about the dark side of Hollywood.
Yeah.
Like all the stuff that they're coming out with now that they're
Diddy.
saying, well, yeah, Diddy's I
Did you see any of that coming when you were out there?
You knew it was going on. I mean, like Weinstein, I knew all that was going on. I had friends that had been, assaulted by him. So,
Really?
well, people that I had known. Yeah. I mean, he was after, the guy was an animal.
So the gateway into some of the Hollywood circles and projects might be people who were, let's just say, sucked their way to the top.
Well, women had a tough time. I mean, really, women had a really hard time during that time getting into the industry as far as who you should sleep with somebody or this. So
Well, it sounds like men had to do the same shit.
they did, which is, it is what it is, and it's behind the scenes and nobody ever really sees it. So, you're at the top and you're Tom Cruise or you're Keanu Reeves and, whatever.
So what are the
No, seriously.
what are the
You think
percentage?
Tom Cruise sees some cock up close?
I think Tom Cruise is gay. Yeah.
You think he's gay?
I think he's
Do
gay.
you think he's gay, or do you think he's just seen some dick up close to get to where he's at?
I think he's seen a lot of dick personally up close, in my opinion.
So I mean,
I also
Shame,
think
he's good looking.
John Travolta. I think he's seen a lot of dick too. I think there's a lot of gay actors in Hollywood that you don't know about.
But hold on, I'm not talking about homosexuality.
What are you talking about? Bisexuality?
No, I'm talking about straight males
Mhm.
that seen dick simply to advance their position in the industry.
That happens. I think. Yeah.
I think it happens more than someone being.
You would considering the industry and how much is on the line. Yes.
Well, when you look at Diddy, that doesn't sound like homosexuality. He sounds like he took straight men that wanted to get to where they were going so bad that they took some dick up close.
well, he used it as a blackmail tool. So if you're going to put somebody in the driver's seat and give them a contract, would you rather give somebody a contract that you had some dirt on, or would you rather because now you can control them, because if anything happens, I could say,
If you're getting your dick hard for another dude for any reason, you're fucking gay.
I'm not saying I'm not assuming that Diddy was actually gay. Now, from what
You don't think he was
You don't
gay?
think he's bisexual?
I have
Andrew
no-
goes both ways.
I have no idea.
You can get your dick hard to stick in another man's ass. You're gay, dude.
No, I get that. I understand what you're saying, but what I'm saying is, was he actually participating in gay acts, or was he making males, putting them in a position to where if they didn't participate in a gay act, so he can get it on film, so that because here,
Oh, so you're saying another guy was showing them the cock. And Diddy wouldn't have nothing to do with
yeah,
it.
he had
He was just filming it for blackmail.
for blackmail.
All right.
So
Okay. Still sick fuck, but not gay.
no, still a sick fuck.
Not that gays are sick fucks. I don't want you to think that.
No,
I think that
no.
because I don't.
No, what I'm saying was that he made it look like it was acceptable, like it was a thing, like it's okay, like this is how it rolls. They compromised who they were for because they knew it was going to get him ahead.
How on earth are you going to compromise your ass? Are you ever going to compromise your ass? For money?
No, I understand that, Frank. But
You got to have something.
what
fucked
you're
up
saying
about
there, that some people, that's the whole idea of selling your soul. You sold who you are, what you believe in, everything, so you could be in this position. Now you didn't know you were getting recorded, but it comes time for contract, and it's come time to steer this artist who I do think is talented. Yet now I got this on him. So if I got this person, which they're saying like Chris Brown wasn't willing to play ball, so he got blackballed, and the whole Rihanna thing came out because that they had to knock him down a peg because he was talented, but they didn't have any dirt on him to where they could monetize him and control him. So a guy like Usher, who they're saying did participate, he got elevated because they knew they could control him because they had dirt on him. So they filmed him and they said, all right, you're going to do what we say, or this
So
is
you
coming
don't
out.
think they knew they were getting filmed?
I don't think they knew they would get filmed.
Do you think he just was getting plowed? He just thought he was getting fucked, and he was getting fucked to get to the top, just to advance his position.
Right.
And oh, by the way, now we really got you because you got filmed.
Right.
And nobody finally had the balls to say, you know what? Fuck you. I don't really care.
Well,
I took it in the ass, and it is what it is.
I mean, yeah. I mean, there's
There had to be someone that eventually just did it.
no male has come out in his case yet saying I was victimized by Diddy, especially if they're already worth. So let's use Justin Bieber for example. he's already got money. Now, maybe did he put him on and put him in that position, but is he going to go out and say, you know what, this happened to me? He stands to gain nothing. He's already got money. It's just bad for his reputation.
Well, hold on. Look, Corey Haim and Corey Feldman been saying it for fucking 25 years that shit's been going on in Hollywood. Corey Haim killed himself because of it.
And
Corey Haim was supposedly raped by
Weinstein.
no,
Michael Jackson?
yes, Michael Jackson. No, the guy we were talking about earlier, Charlie Sheen.
Oh.
Oh, was it?
I mean, that's just the rumor. I don't know.
Well, that Corey Feldman came out and told his story. The story's sickening. I mean, those poor, they were young, Ian.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It was on the set of Lucas, supposedly, that Sheen had took him behind the woods and had sex with him.
Was Sheen in Lucas?
Yes, he was the big quarterback star.
Got it. I remember.
Yeah.
Or was it Lucas or Luca?
Lucas.
Lucas.
Remember
I remember
Lucas?
it. Yeah.
Lucas was a good movie.
Yeah, it was a good
Corey Haim made a lot of good films. I mean, that were really
Corey Haim
entertaining
and
to
Corey
us.
Feldman were both good.
Absolutely, they were.
Goonies, License to Drive.
And, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
they had
And
some.
child actors got abused back then. I mean, it was bad.
Well, and here, not for nothing, but we had someone on this podcast that was in that situation, and she was, I have to be careful what I say, but she picked up on this isn't right. Something's not right here. And I don't want any part of this.
Sure.
And she said, fuck this. I'm out. I'm done.
Mhm.
You know, and she was talented,
Yeah.
as talented as anyone.
Sure.
And her mother picked up on it too.
Well, listen here. You're in Hollywood. I've been to parties. Everybody goes to parties. Parties in Hollywood are different. They're not like every other party. There's things right in front of you going on that you wouldn't see.
Talk to me. Like what?
Well, I mean, there's. It's just very open. There's not necessarily. I'm not saying
There's probably
I'm not saying there's
women.
people like having sex everywhere, but it's just
people doing drugs.
everything is available.
And
Anywhere you
there's
want it.
probably people doing dope, and there's probably couples swapping.
Whatever you basically want is there. I mean, and you see movie stars making out in the corner, and you see you see and the bottom line is the reason that Hollywood is like that is because they have nothing to fucking do. You are an actor. You go to set and you sit in your trailer for probably 5 to 6 hours a day. You're probably shooting 1 to 2 hours tops. You go on set, you do 15 minutes of a scene, you go back to your trailer for 2 hours. What are you supposed to do? You sit there, you do drugs. That's how they become addicts, because they're sitting there with all this time and they have nothing to do.
and money. They got resources and money.
They got money, they got resources. They have people giving them everything they want. They have walking into restaurants and they give you whatever you want. Women throwing themselves
They're
at
all
you. Men throwing themselves at you.
miserable.
And they're all miserable.
They're miserable.
Well, I mean, they get divorced and they.
How did reality TV change Hollywood? And we all, now I think everybody knows reality TV
Isn't really reality.
isn't really reality. It's all scripted.
Sure.
How did that change Hollywood? I feel like there was some sort of impact that it had.
It changed in the sense that you could be a person off the street and become a star now and be just in some stupid show.
Well, and you could do that now on social media.
100%. That's why you don't have to go to LA anymore to really make it in Los Angeles. You can just make it from anywhere. You could be in Kansas City. You could be in.
Yeah,
wherever.
there's girls that have big tits and great asses, and they got 40,000 followers because they put on a pair of fucking leggings in slow motion. And I'm the type of guy that's going to be like, I will watch that. Here, and you know what's funny? You know who sends it to me? My wife. And here, and she laughs at me, because it's been here. What guy doesn't want to watch a white girl with a big ass put on a pair of leggings with the camera in slow motion? Come on, I'm not the only one here. You're not going to tell me I'm the only one.
You're the only one that is willing to admit it on this. Well, I mean, here, I'll go ahead and side with you.
Thank you. Thank you.
There's
Anyone who isn't admitting it's lying, you're lying.
and that's what the Instagram hole is all about, and the TikTok hole. People get stuck in a hole that they're watching, twerk videos of.
I don't care about the twerk videos, but I'll watch them put them leggings on. That's fucking great.
But yeah, Hollywood monetized reality TV in a way that, I mean, listen, it was smart, right? You're taking people from an everyday life, like Real World. Real World started it.
Yes.
You guys remember Real World?
Yes.
But there's nothing reality about it.
Well, it's reality in the sense that life is only what you see. So if they show you something and they tell you it is, and you believe it, it doesn't matter what it is behind the scenes, right?
Perception.
That's all
reality.
that's all they care about. So
Because like reality for 99.9% of the country is you get up, you go to work, you come home.
Yeah.
You get the kids together. You do what you got to do. This practice, that practice. You eat. You rent.
Really not that entertaining.
No, it's not. It's here. I think I'm a fucking robot sometimes.
When you put 6 singles in a house, and you know,
That's different.
and you have your lives taped
Sure.
to find out what you know.
Here, at the end of the day, like I would never last in that show because I like too much downtime. I can't have 5 other people in my business that I don't know who you are.
it just gave Hollywood another.
Notice how there was probably no Italians on the Real World.
No, but there was Jersey Shore,
Yeah, Jersey Shore was an offshoot of the Real World.
and Jersey Shore
Paulie D's got a great head of hair.
might be one of the greatest reality shows of all time.
I
Clearly
think,
jealous of Paulie.
I think at one time you could probably say that. Yeah, I mean, for some people, yeah. I mean, it was those actors made a fortune.
So
I
I tell you how much I know about Jersey Shore. I thought GTL was Jim Tan lunch.
That's not bad. I think you should start that.
Yeah,
Tan lunch.
What,
Yeah.
I mean, clearly it's Jim Tan laundry.
Uh-huh.
Michelle told me.
yeah. It is. You don't get to have lunch.
My mom always did my laundry. Okay, so
yeah.
I didn't have to do that. So,
Right.
but
But
I wasn't ever really a guy that went tanning. But I did like to go into the gym and eat.
Sure. So that kind of
So I'm
started.
just GL, gym lunch.
Yeah, but reality started the monster that's become what it is today. I mean, so when I went into Hollywood in 2000, it was all a lot of. Most people were making stuff on film. Are we almost at time?
I got to get going. I got a meeting at 7.
Okay. But now, and then it all went digital. And then when reality hit, it was basically, it was a digital world. So you could pretty much create whatever you want. You could do reality, you could do TV, you could do film, and it's all warped in now to Netflix and everything is streaming. So there's really not any releases in the theater that much anymore. What do they release? Like 3 movies?
Here,
a
every
year now?
movie is a remake.
It's all remakes, it's the big films that they have all the money in. And if you want to watch anything small, you go to Netflix or Prime, and then
I don't ever go to the movies.
Yeah, I don't go to the movies.
I mean, because you can here back in the day, it seemed like before the movie came out to the video store, Applause Video or Blockbuster Applause. I'm showing my age, but you remember Applause.
Sure.
So, but it seemed like it was like a year
Yeah,
between the time it went in the movies
Yeah.
to the time it was at the video store, and you couldn't wait for it to go to the video store, and then you'd have to get there early because the fucker would be sold out.
Yep.
And I would always call cousin Joe Fasoni because he had Cotton's video, and I'd say, "Hold one for me."
yeah, yeah.
Remember Cotton's
Yeah,
video?
yeah.
And I'd say, "Hold one for me," and then I'd come but now it seems like it's a couple months, and it's
Well-
on Prime, and you spend $24 to get the movie, which who cares? Because if you take your wife and kids to the movie, you're going to spend $150
Yeah.
by the time you go get the frickin' concessions and the tickets. I mean, it's going to cost you, for me, it's
Yeah.
going to
Yeah,
be $1.
And that's why Hollywood, thought that they could win this election. Going back to the election for a second, but yeah, I mean, they literally, the media is Hollywood liberals. So
But it's also what middle class America's not wrapping their head around.
well, yeah, their message is not coming across in the right way. Even if the message is, what I'm saying, wrong,
but
they're not telling it right.
But what they're not doing is they're not looking at the policy
Sure,
and saying these billionaires aren't going to feel this shit.
sure.
You are.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, absolutely. That's true. I think that in general, though, Hollywood is really all about money. There's nothing more. Reality, everything you talk about, everything is in.
So
how
if
can we
you
make
were to-
more money?
If you were to write a script
Yes.
and we had enough money,
Yes.
we could go make the movie.
Do whatever you want.
You just got to have the dough. What's it cost? $10 million?
Oh, you want to make a film? You got $1 million in escrow? We'll go make a film.
Right, but if you're going to make any traction, you're going to have the big actor, and the big actor by himself is going to eat up the million.
Yes, it depends on what kind of actors you want. I mean, yeah. So to make a really good film, you really need about $3 million because because then you can get some actors that are B range, you know.
Who's a B range actor?
Alicia Silverstone, somebody like that. You know what I mean?
That's a B range. Give me a male B range actor.
A male B range actor. I think James Franco is probably a little bit down to a B. He's probably still an A, but I mean, I would say, you know,
A low A.
Kevin Bacon's a B, guy like that. You know?
Kevin Bacon.
Mhm.
No shit.
Yeah. Now he is. He used to be an A, but he's a B now. What they do is they put letters on your name.
So anybody that I'm going to mention, the Tom Cruises, the Val Kilmers, the Brad Pitts, Johnny Depp,
Yeah.
those are all A. De Niro,
Those are all A's. De
Vince
Niro's probably a
Vaughn.
B because he takes so much. He's just a money hound.
Vince Vaughn, John Favreau, those are all
Yeah,
A's.
Vince Vaughn stopped acting. Vince Vaughn's not around anymore. But yeah, basically, yeah, you're right. So what they do is they take how much they think they can make off of your name overseas, and they get you a number or a letter, A, B, or C, or D, and then that's how you sell an actor. You say, hey,
Overseas.
overseas, they have a graded letter of how much money you can get from each territory. So you may be an A in Japan, but you may be you know, what I mean, it depends on how much they like you. You're liked in different territories all over the world differently. So some people have a lot of appeal overseas, some people don't. So, and you'd be surprised, Billy Zane had a lot of appeal at the time because he had done Titanic. And
Right, it's huge.
huge movie.
Huge. Yeah.
So we could sell a lot of territory. So that's the reason we picked him. And so, yeah.
Why did you do Memory and not do any more?
We did Memory and not do any more. It was kind of a weird story, but we had another movie set up called Omega Kids, and it was a kids film about basically zombies that take over a neighborhood, and the kids have to fight the adults. And it's like, hey, you know, kicks the guy through the door and says, hey, Dad, you take out the trash, that kind of, you know, stupid kid stuff.
Right.
And it was a $10 million film, and we had it set up. We had the investor, the same investor from Memory, and he got when we did the premiere on Memory, it was in New Orleans, and our investor was walking across the street and got hit by a car and died. The night of the Memory premiere. So.
Are you kidding me?
No, so that was so then we were like, you know, hey, gosh, could it get any worse? So,
Holy shit.
so then that movie was basically wiped. Yeah. So, and at that time, if you remember, 2007 was when the financial crisis hit. So
the housing
and
market,
everything went down. So the market was basically nothing. So all of the outside money at that point had dried up. You know what I mean? There wasn't a lot of mid-range to high mid-range money like there was before, because a lot of people had lost their net worth. So a lot of Hollywood went to outside sources. They went to Saudi Arabia. They went all over to try and find money for those years. And then the fat years have been recently because of reality TV and the streamers. And now they're just, everybody's got this big pot, and everybody just kind of gives everybody a piece now. And it's a machine. And like I said, we could make a $3 million film, and we could get actors in it that we know, and you make it. And
What's the margin on it?
You could probably sell, if you do a good film or a decent film, even if it's just average, you could probably sell for $3 million or $4 million, just what you make it for.
So you ain't making no money.
No, and movies don't usually make a lot of money, in the sense that movies are worth money over time. So you get paid for the rest of your life. Steven Spielberg will get paid for his family will get paid for the rest of their lives on his movies he makes. So you may make 1.5 or 2 million, 3 million on the film, but then you keep the money going as far as money coming in from other sources. Like literally in 10 years, you can resell the film to a different distribution company. So let's say you go 10 years and you make $3 million and you have a $4 million budget. Well, after 10 years, you've lost money, but the film might be worth $1 million at that point because you resell the distribution, and you resell it every 10 years. And so that's how Steven Spielberg and Seinfeld and these guys are making $150 million a year, $200 million a year on residuals. And it's only going to get worse. I mean, these people are making fortunes. You see the YouTube people, how much they're making. It's the market of entertainment, and this is just the digital age. We're in it, okay? You can make as much money as you want to if you have a product that people will buy. Like this. You guys are talking. It's a talk show. People buy it. If they buy it, you guys win. You know what I'm saying? But you're at least out there and you get people to see it.
Well, we need to change how we're doing it. And I didn't realize, but I was informed.
Sure.
Doing one episode a week, you'll never gain traction. You have to now we could do something like this once a week, but if me and him really want to gain traction, we need to be dropping a 15 to 20 minute deal every single day. And we have to figure out how we're going to be able to do that and how that looks from a time standpoint.
Yeah. And you know what? That's okay. As long as you're moving forward in life, I think that's all that matters.
But we went from nothing to 3,000 listeners a week. Now, 3,000 listeners a week isn't a lot. I was really fired up about it, and I ran into someone. It's like, it's really not a whole lot. I'm like, well, no, I get it. Maybe it's not. He goes, you will not gain traction unless you do something every single day. And it could just be me. It's going to have to just be me and you in front of the camera on the microphone discussing something, whatever that we decided we wanted to be at. And then we could still do a guest once a week, right?
We could also do that from the comforts of our own home.
Yeah, I mean, if you guys want to get me on one day or something from home, or man, that's no problem. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Anytime, you know, I think, yeah.
I like having the in-person guest, though.
Yeah, I understand. But I do agree with that. I mean, Andrew, you could do 15 minutes a day and just do it remotely.
Well, look at these, like the guys that I like to watch, which here, you can't compare yourself to the big guys, right? The Joe Rogans of the world. Joe Rogan has famous people. He had the president on. I mean, come on, you're not, I mean, you know, and he, not only that, but has the power to change the course of an election. I mean, the guy is like the Wizard of Oz.
He's the first of its kind. He is the first podcast. He's the guy.
Let's look at Joey Merlino. Let's look at Sam Gravano. Let's look at Mike Franzese. Let's look at Tim Pool. I like all those guys. At any given time, it depends on what I want to listen to. Those are guys that I'll turn on, but they're dropping something. And their podcasts aren't 2 hours like ours. It's 20 minutes.
Yeah. They drop
20 minutes.
Yeah, drop something regularly.
You know, now here, Joey Merlino and Sam Gravano, they got some really good fucking stories, right? Michael Franzese, he's got some really good stories, right? He could talk about the dark side. He could talk about the light side, right?
Sometimes I don't think it's about what you're saying is how you say it. I mean, sometimes people just want comfort in their lives.
Sure.
I mean, just having something on to listen to, it doesn't, you know what I'm saying?
And here, our stories, look, we've had real dark. Today's a very light story.
Yeah.
Tomorrow's not.
No.
Tomorrow's story is not light at all.
Yep.
You're not going to walk away from that story and feel good.
No.
You know, but it's something that I want to hear, and
something needs to be heard.
It doesn't. Maybe it doesn't.
Maybe.
But I want to fucking hear it, so I'm gonna. You know,
That's all
so
that matters.
I honestly don't give a. Here, you know what? If you don't want to listen to it, turn it the fuck off. I'm not really doing it for anyone.
100%.
And that's the beauty of not doing it for money. Fuck you.
It has
not you, but whoever's listening and don't want to hear it, turn it off.
Frank, there has to be passion behind anything you do that you're going to succeed. If there's not passion, you can't succeed because you don't want to move forward. It takes passion to move forward.
And if you're going to have passion, there has to be the I want.
Yes.
It can't be the they want.
Well, and you can't be scared of failing. I mean, you know, I sent my script to probably, I mean, obviously we found somebody that wanted to buy it eventually, but I mean, we probably went to 50 places. I mean, we were told it's horrible. It's the worst thing we've ever seen. Oh my gosh, it's terrible. Oh my, it's awesome. We want to buy it. Oh, go fuck yourself. Oh no, it's great. Yeah, no, well, we'll call you back in 3 days. Oh, no, you don't hear from, you know, all that fucking shit. So, you know, you have to have thick skin because you get up every day and you fail. And that's life.
Well, and here's the other thing. Like when you're doing something for you, there is no failing.
No,
so here, let's take
exactly
Florence's story. Honestly, Florence's story picked up a ton of traction.
It did.
I mean, you know, on a YouTube channel, you know, which is the hardest one in the podcast, that thing had a ton of views.
Yeah.
And it hasn't even been out a week yet.
No, I know.
I've had some people who I thought, man, this is a great story. This story needs to be heard.
Yeah. And
it didn't pick up a whole lot of traction. And I still want to figure out ways to get it too, because it's like, you know, that story, there's stories that I have had on here that I'm like, man, these stories need to be heard.
Sure.
But you know what? It'll come.
It will. You guys are doing exactly what you need to do.
But here, I had a guy call me today, Andrew Pileggi, Dr. Pileggi, Felix, that was Doc Cicero's partner.
Mm-hmm.
He called me and he's like, you know what? I've been listening to the one on Doc Cicero, and then I started listening to this one, and then and I'm like, man, he's like, man, I love all of them. So it's not like they can't go back and listen to them.
No, that's what the library is there for. If you like what we're doing here, like, subscribe, and go back and listen to other shit.
Yeah.
You guys are doing great. Trust me.
Yeah. So I mean, but we need to figure out how we can do it more frequently. And actually, when football's over, I'll have more time.
Yeah.
But I gotta go. I'm already 15
right, guys.
minutes late.
Yeah,
Thanks for
no
coming on.
problem.
I enjoyed this, and I actually
Anytime, if you guys want me to come back anytime, I will.
I think we should do it because there's all kinds of stuff that I want to ask.
I got tons of stuff.
And here we spent 30 minutes on abortion and politics, which you knew I was going to do that.
It doesn't matter. It's
I
all
had to dig in a little bit.
All we have is time, Red. What do you say?
Hey, you know what though? I have to say this. I have to give credit where credit is due. And part of me digging is I'm digging at Tony George, obviously.
Yeah.
Right? And he knows it. And I love him. But he came up with the name of the podcast.
No,
What do you
I
say,
came up
bro?
with the name of the podcast.
What do
It
you
was
say?
you?
It was absolutely me.
It was you, but Tony George told me.
No, Frank.
Oh boy.
You're remembering this wrong.
I remembered it was Tony George came up with the name
Frank,
of the podcast.
I'm not giving credit to anybody else because and I'm not a glory hound, but this was the what do you say was my brainchild.
Andrew, what do you say, bro?
Hey,
That's right. I always said to you, I said, what did Dad used to say when he saw somebody? He used to say, hey, what do you say?
we say.
Hey, we say.
And that's what it came
But I
from.
think it might have just been that whole generation too, maybe.
Hey,
Did your dad used to say it?
Absolutely, everybody. What do you say?
What do you say?
And if you're a real Dago, you said SHAY.
Yeah.
What do you say, road?
All right, I got to get going.
All right,
Tony,
guys.
thank you very much.
Appreciate it.